Welcome back to America Decides. We're joined now by Alina Habba, who has an interesting title, which gives her some pretty broad scope over the White House, Counselor to the President, which is a title that really can be determined by each president as they serve. Alina, thanks for being with us. I wanted to sort of start by clarifying what it is exactly you're doing for him now, because you were such a well-known spokesperson and attorney and legal advisor over the course of the last several years. What is it you're doing for him now?
Well, a lot of the same. Obviously, I'm not the White House counsel, and it's great that you asked that question. Often my title gets confused with the White House counsel's office. I do work as a counterpart with them. They're wonderful. That's Dave Warrington's office, which is right next to mine. But my office is in the West Wing. I am also an advisor still. I'm clearly still a spokesperson on TV answering questions, just on a broader scale. And determining my portfolio, I've been working with things from the Middle East to Tom Homan's group. And it's been really tremendous, actually. It's kind of nice to not be in the courthouse and be able to help the American people.
Well, what do you know then about Saudi Arabia possibly hosting this meeting for President Trump and Russian President Putin?
I'm not going to speak to that. You know what I do know is that I'm good enough on TV to know not to answer that question, but you can ask me something else.
All right.
Well, nice try, though. I love it for you guys. You mentioned the Middle East,
so I figured I would try. Fair enough.
You know, A for effort. It was excellent.
Well, let me ask you about this. You know that he's been issuing dozens of executive orders and actions over the last few weeks of the early days of the administration. They're obviously being challenged in court in one way or another. You had said recently that those that get in the way of the president's executive actions will face, quote, repercussions. What did you mean by that?
If you looked at Pam Bondi's press conference that was held about 5 minutes, I think that's exactly what I meant by that. Pam Bondi just sued Letitia James, Governor Hochul, and the head of the DMV in New York for ignoring a federal mandate. And that's what's going to happen. If you defy what is signed and executed and what the American people, frankly, voted for on November 5th, you will get sued. You are a state official. Federal government, there's something called a chain of command, and that's exactly what I meant by it. I would refer you to Pam Bondi's press conference, which was held just moments ago.
Legal repercussions is one thing. Political repercussions, maybe for Republicans who don't fall in line?
I'm not a politician. I speak from you know, maybe you can't take the lawyer out of me. I might be counselor to the president, but the way I see it is we have a rule of law. You have to follow that rule of law. So when I speak to that. Anything else, you know, I'll leave that to the Hill and the people out there. But I'm not voted by the constituents. And you know, the reality of the situation is this. We had a clear mandate on November 5th, and that was what the American people wanted. And to have some of these rogue judges, to have some of these rogue political AGs, I'll call them, or people trying to make a name for them, Governor Hochul coming out with a press conference the day after President Trump was elected, we don't have time for that. The American people are tired of that rhetoric, and I think that's why the Democrats lost on November 5th in such a major way.
When you call them political judges, let's remind people that they're appointed or nominated to the position by the sitting president. There's a guy, Carl Nick.
Not all.
Well, which ones? What do you mean by that?
Well, you have to look at some of the. Now, you may be talking about executive orders, but listen, unfortunately, and you can
I was
talk
asking about judges. I was asking about judges. You just said political judges.
You don't think that you don't think that we have judges that are politically motivated? I recommend you look at the last 3.5 years. Okay,
right. My point is, they're all nominated by a president, right? Some have been nominated in recent years, obviously, by President Biden, others by President Obama, and there are Biden and Obama judges who have weighed in on some of these issues in the last few weeks. Handful, though, were nominated by President Trump in his first administration, others by President Reagan. So you're saying there are Democratic and Republican nominated judges who are being too political at the bench?
No, that's not what I said. I said that there are judges that are political. Unfortunately, we've seen judges who have political contributions made, which should not sit on cases, that have still sat on cases. The fact that you're questioning it is concerning to me.
But you're talking about state-level judges that make donations or receive donations?
There are judges that are. Let me be very clear. I sued Hillary Clinton. Let me give you a little bit of facts. Perhaps you're missing that and haven't followed the record for the last 3.5 years. We sued Hillary Clinton on behalf of President Trump and the Russia hoax, which we now know was a Russia hoax. Judge Middlebrooks, who was a Clinton-appointed judge, never heard the case, never saw the case, and sanctioned us $1 million. Now, tell me that a judge who has never met the lawyers, never spoken to them, had one complaint and then was dismissed, but was appointed by the defendant's family. Tell me that that doesn't smell fishy. So these are things we can't have happen in this country. And if you think that the country and the rule of law is perfect, God bless you. You must sleep well at night. But I live in a reality that has been the last 3.5 years.
Okay. More recently, the judge who ordered the Department of Health and Human Services and the Centers for Disease Control to restore information that had been on their websites, for example, nominated by George W. Bush, Elon Musk called him evil and suggested that he should be fired. Is that an argument or an action that you would agree with, that the president would agree with, that a judge, by merely ruling against one of your decisions, is evil and should be fired?
No, and I love that you're trying to spin it. What I'm saying is this. We have executive orders being put in place. These judges that are then challenging them, we will deal with them in court. I'm not calling a judge evil. I am not disagreeing with anybody else's comments. I'm not Elon Musk's spokesperson. I am literally speaking to one thing. You must abide by what the American people voted on November 5th. And having people try and stop things like Besant from even getting into the Treasury files is absurd. And to say that would be anything other than that is insane. Look, he was nominated. He was confirmed. And then he couldn't go do his job. That is ridiculous. Whatever words you want to use, I leave it to each person. That's called the First Amendment right that we still have, I believe. But I will say this. You have judges who, if they wanted to be president, they should have run. If they want to oppose things, they should have run. Now, if they're doing things based on law or their interpretation of the law, we look forward to fighting that in court the right way, and we will do so. We will abide it, we will appeal it, and we will take it up to the Supreme Court if we need to.
And in the case involving Besant, the judge took that one back, has fixed it, and as you said, it's working its way through the appeals process, as are all these cases. And thank you for clarifying that you, at least, don't believe he should be fired or is evil.
Well, I didn't say that. No, don't twist my words. I love it. You guys are great. This is why I don't come on CBS. No, I didn't say that. What I said is everybody can use whatever words they want. But as a lawyer, I'll tell you that we are going to challenge it. I don't know that judge personally, but I will say this. I don't care what you're doing. If you're trying to stop people who were appointed, confirmed by the American people from doing their job, that is not following the American way. It's unconstitutional. There are things called separation of powers. There's the executive branch, there's the judicial branch. But if you want to tell me that we do not have a problem in our judicial system, after seeing what Tish James, what Hochul's doing, directing transgender surgeries from continuing happening, even though they will lose federal fundings as a hospital, then maybe we should be on a different program. But thank you very much.
I appreciate you being here and answering those questions. I wasn't the one raising concerns about judges, but I can appreciate the concerns that the Trump administration has. Yes, no, and that's why we're glad you were here to share them. And like we said, these are all going to be work their way through the court system, and we will cover that. And we appreciate you being here, and we do hope you'll be back. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much.
Alina Habba, counselor to the president, not White House counsel, counselor to the president, one of three.